you like doing. But
All right.
hello everyone. Welcome once again to Pixar Panic, the Elite Eight. I am Wesley Hunt, Dr. W, and I am joined by some friends new and old, getting ready to talk about these 8 movies with you.
Hello, everybody. I am Irish Husky. I am the original founder of Mouse Madness, and we're talking about Pixar movies instead of watching the Super Bowl. If you ask me, it's a much better use of our time.
Yeah, 4 games for the price of 1. How's that?
I'm Kat, and I'm a bio major and watcher of movies. Sorry.
Good.
Awesome.
Sweet. I'm Carrick Raccoon Bro and Namnit, and I am the resident voice actor, and my demo reel has just been finished, and you guys can look forward to hearing that very soon. And also look forward to Death Battle Season 6 reviewed in 10 words or less. That's coming out, I promise.
Hooray.
Star?
I'm Star Giant Productions. I have more subscribers than you guys combined since I have over 66,000. And I usually review cartoons for a living.
Okay, that's good.
And ironically enough, I'm doing my own PIXAR project on the sidelines with Dashi. We do Mystery Science Theater parodies on each Pixar movie.
Hello, everyone. I am YoJats10, aka Jadson Lennox. I am a writer and reviewer of animation. I especially write stories too, and I also do good a lot of impressions, like John Ratzenberger's characters from lots of Pixar films. And I also do the voice of Doug. I am so happy to be a squirrel. I am so happy to be here.
Squirrel, yeah, I tried that joke once, but I shouldn't have done it when someone else was driving because it freaked them out more than squirrel.
Do you want to hear a joke? It is about a squirrel that is in a tree, and the squirrel dies. It's funny because it is dead.
Oh my god!
Classic.
And okay, for last week, Toy Story number 2 defeated Finding Dory number 15, 232 to 20.
Wow.
For those of you keeping at home, that's a record. And that's a record for the most votes cast and the film with the most votes.
I say it's well-deserving.
Next up, Incredibles 1 defeated Coco 152 to 81. This one was close at the beginning, but kind of pulled away towards the end.
Hooray! I mean, oh, poor Coco.
Right.
Incredibles.
Next up, we had Ratatouille winning the Battle of Brad Bird, defeating the Incredibles 2 199 to 34.
So close to 200.
Yeah,
My poor old heart.
Mr. That much.
Can I just say that one makes me very happy. I will pull for Ratatouille the whole time.
Yeah, we'll get to that later. And then Finding Nemo, lastly, defeated the newcomer Soul 134 to 62. This one was the one I was most interested in. I thought it could have gone either way, and guess which way it went.
Yeah. Funnily enough, the last time it was all the Pete Docter movies making it through and all the Toy Story movies getting knocked out. And this week it's the other way around.
Yeah. Well, we only have one Toy Story left to race.
That's true.
It's gonna have to avenge all of its sequels.
Yep.
And there are a lot of them.
Yeah, it's probably going to be a race between WALL-E and Toy Story for the most voted film.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
So,
considering what Wally's going up against, it might not be that easy.
Yeah.
Might not be this round.
Yeah, so before we start, moment of silence for Christopher Plummer, whose performance in Up was certainly a highlight. All right, are we ready?
Yeah, I think we're ready.
I'm ready.
Yeah.
Yeah, we took a moment of silence.
He was a good man, and he will be missed. His mark was made, and he won't be forgotten for a very long time.
Filmed for 70 years, won an Oscar, filled in for another guy with a month to go, and was a Pixar villain. What more could you want from a career?
Yeah, and I even liked him in his role from Ratatouille as the Grand Duke of Owls. I thought he did really good in that movie.
I forgot he was in that movie.
That was a fun movie.
A life well lived indeed.
Yeah, well, we're going to probably try the talking ball taking turns format because it's so many people here, but it's number 1 Wall-E versus number 8 Up, 2 of the most decorated animated films of all time, and certainly favorites for this competition. From the top, Nick.
All right. Now, since we've already talked about these films in previous podcasts, I'm not going to go into too much detail onto either one specifically. So I think I'm just going to use this time to defend my decision, which is Up. Yes, straight up, Up is my pick for this matchup. There's only one Pixar movie that I like more than this. Thankfully, it's still in the tournament, so I'll get time to gush about that. But yeah, there's something about Up that really grabs me. I think of all the Pixar movies, it probably has my favorite story and is probably the strongest when it comes to, the story in general and the characters. I guess what I'm trying to say is it has the best writing from a purely technical standpoint. And that's a reason why it was so close to being my favorite, because everything about the way that the story progresses and how the characters interact and what goes on in their lives, it all serves, it all connects with each other. It all, works together. Pretty much every element in this movie is done masterfully. The writing's great. The voice acting's great. And even though this isn't my favorite Pixar movie, it's probably the one that makes me cry like a bitch the most. No joke. The first time I watched this over this past summer, I believe, obviously it wasn't the first time, but the first time in a long time. There were 4 distinct moments in this movie that actually made me cry. It was the opening scene, the scene where the house takes off for the first time, the scene where Carl is finally looking through Ellie's old adventure book, and the closing scene, especially with the final shot of the house sitting on the edge of Paradise Falls. That gets me every single time. And I have to watch it by myself, otherwise I end up embarrassing myself in front of my peers.
Right. That's
hey man, embrace it. Embrace it. That's what I say.
All right, Kat, want to give your 2 cents?
I don't think I have anything to contribute.
Why did you vote for? Just say what you voted for in your defense.
Oh shoot, I'd have to go back and look.
When was the last time you watched these movies?
Right, like I definitely haven't watched these movies in a long time. Like any of them.
I just watched Wall-E for the first time in a while earlier this month. So
Wall-E is great. I think I voted for Wall-E over Up. Was that the pairing?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I really liked Wall-E. It's so cute. I want to be a robot on a trash planet.
Yeah, that's funny. But yeah, it kind of reminds me of the Curiosity rover, which played itself "Happy Birthday" to mark its anniversary.
That is the saddest damn thing I've ever heard.
Yeah, and that's pretty good, Kat. Thanks.
All right.
Thanks for it.
It played Happy Birthday for what?
For its anniversary when Curiosity landed on Mars.
Aw.
I think that's good from you, Kat. Good.
Yeah.
Yeah, Carrick?
Alright, so it had been a while since I watched Up the last few times I talked about it, so I watched it again today. And I'm very glad I did because I feel like it's given me a newfound appreciation for it. I feel like I was one of the ones that wasn't really giving it a whole lot of credit. And like I said before, how I felt that the first 10. I was one of those people who's like the first 10 minutes, like they kind of blow their load. Like the rest of the movie kind of feels like like downward compared to it. Like still good, but just like not as good. And it feels like it gets a bit like too ridiculous, like with dogs or flying planes. But after rewatching it, I said, you know what? Up in and of itself is already kind of a ridiculous concept. It's about a man who uses balloons to make his house fly. So it's really not all that far fetched that talking dogs could fly planes. And
Ha, fetch.
yeah, exactly. And you are right, Nick. The fact that those first 10 minutes are so good, it does make you root for Carl throughout the whole time. And I also realized that this is actually this does have a very similar message to Soul, another Pixar film which I adore, because that's the scene where he finally makes it to Paradise Falls. The entire atmosphere is all gloomy. They use shades of gray, and he doesn't feel fulfilled. Like he's been trying to get there this whole time, and then when he finally opens up that book and sees that Ellie filled in the adventure part with their life, that's when he realizes that he's been living the adventure the whole time. Living is enough, and it was really poignant, and it hit me in a whole new way now that I'm older, because the first time I watched this movie, I must have been like 11 or something. And yeah, and all the characters are really fun too. Like Doug is probably one of the best dogs animation. Like he's just so dumb but loyal. Like he's like the perfect representation of a golden retriever who just happens to also talk. And I'm trying to remember his name. What's the kid's name?
Russell.
Russell, yes. Yeah, Russell is a very well-written kid, because like there's that part at the beginning where it's like, I'm tired, I need to use the bathroom. You should have used it 5 minutes ago. I didn't need to go then. Like that. He's a very well-written kid. Like that is. I feel like that's exactly how a kid would react who's like being
My
put.
brother and my dad had that exact same dialogue on one car trip, almost verbatim.
If a normal kid was being thrust into a crazy adventure like this, that is probably exactly how they would react.
I also love this interaction. Hey kid, let's play a game. It's called See Who Can Stay Quiet the Longest. Oh cool, my mom loves that game.
Yeah. Like, I gotta hand it to Pixar. I really like the fact that that he's an Asian character, and they specifically got an Asian actor to play him, and they didn't revert to any stereotypes surrounding Asians. Like normally they would get that. It just I like the authenticity there, because I'm a voice, as guys know, I'm a voice actor, and recently we've all been making strides because we've all kind of realized that a lot of roles are played by white people, like most main characters are. So that's why we're trying to create more roles to include more people in this, because we're trying to be a more inclusive community, and that's why I really appreciate what Up does here.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't even realize, because now that I'm older, I can pick up on subtleties of the dialogue. Like I didn't even realize that Russell's parents were totally divorced. Like that part where he's like, you call your mom by her first name? Oh, Sylvia's not my mom. Oh, like, that's why I started putting the pieces together. Like, oh damn. And
That was pretty brutal.
But for my vote, even though I really liked Up, my vote still goes to WALL-E, because I really appreciate a film that is able to tell the story without any dialogue. And even during the first half, I just think the setting is cool enough and the story is interesting enough where it doesn't lose me. And I've always liked WALL-E for a real long time, so that will be my vote.
Yeah.
I
Star?
thought maybe I turned you around.
Yeah, I'm glad that I have a newfound appreciation for Up.
Good. Star?
What's the comparisons again?
WALL-E and Up.
WALL-E.
I think that WALL-E is a movie that's better in of itself, mostly because of the message and how it's kind of more of a relevant thing to now. Up I like, but I do feel like it gets overshadowed by the beginning. Like it has probably the best 10 minutes in any Pixar movie ever. However, it just becomes generic and meh to me. Whereas Wally, I think it's consistent in the quality all the way through. Even though I think the villain is definitely weaker in Wally. Like, the villain could actually have made a good argument on how, like, going back to the planet would kill all the humans, but the villain doesn't seem to go that far enough. It's like, I'm evil because I just have to be evil.
It's like he was evil because he was programmed to be.
Yeah, but it could have been more. It could have been more like, I want you guys to stay on the ship because if I send you home, like, he could have like a traumatic past. Like, he could have sent everyone home like a couple of centuries ago and killed them then. But then it's like, I don't want to make that. It could be like, I'm not making that same mistake again. Like, just because, like, what's the main character's name again? Not Wally, but the ship guy. Carl. That's the captain's name.
The protagonist of Up is Carl.
No, not for Up. The Wally.
Oh, Wally. The captain, I forget the captain.
His name is the Captain.
Yeah.
That's a stupid name. But
He's
anyway, yeah, but the captain be like, I don't care, I want this right. It's like, and then Otto could have been like, I'm not letting that happen, sir.
His name is Captain B. McCree.
Oh, of course.
Okay, I'm just gonna call him Captain because it's easy to memorize. Back to Up though, real quick. I like the part with the squirrel. I like the part with the dog. I always thought he was fun to see, and as well as that bird. I like also later in the movie how it's like, wait, Kevin's a girl. I always like that a little bit.
Yeah, and I like how he still calls him Kevin even after learning that she was a girl.
I know although to be fair, I just thought there were better 2009 movies like Fantastic Mr. Fox or Coraline.
That was a good year.
Sure, I don't think it should have won the what's the animation awards again?
Annie's.
Yeah, it shouldn't have been the one to win the Emmy.
Right.
I forgot that. I think that might be my favorite scene in the movie where it slowly dawns on them that that Muntz has been there for so long that he's actually become insane. Like, I really like the tension in that scene. It's very well done.
Yeah.
Pure craziness and isolation.
Well, if you ask me for a vote, I'll vote for Wally.
Okay.
All right, and that's all I got.
Yeah. Jackson.
Yeah. Good afternoon. My name is Russell.
Just get to the end, please.
Okay, in all seriousness though, I'm still gonna have to go for Up, because, like, Up is, like, definitely one of my top 10 favorite films, if not top 5. I love the animation and I love the animation. I love the story it has. Like, I know a lot of people say the first 10 minutes are, like, so really good that it overshadows it, but the rest of the film is just as good as those first 10 minutes. I love the interaction between all the characters. I love how they made the most with just a simple cast, too. Like, it's just the dogs, Kevin, Russell, Carl, and Charles Muntz, but they really make the most of them, and I really like that. The voice actor is really great, like Ed Asner, and of course the late Christopher Plummer, and especially the voices of Russell, Doug, and even a couple squawks from Kevin are pretty good, too, because they really do feel like a bit of emotion coming from Kevin, even though he's just a bird. I really thought that was really good, too.
Pete Docter voiced Kevin.
Oh, really? That's cool. And, let's see. Oh, I love the music, too. This is probably my favorite of Michael Giacchino. Is that... Am I saying that right? Michael Giacchino?
Michael Giacchino.
Michael Giacchino, thank you. Like, this is probably my favorite score of his. Is what I think of when I think of the top tier PIXAR kind of sounds when it comes to music. Like, it sounds like kind of old-timey, but it works in the same way because it's trying to be like old-timey in a sense, and it really fits with the kind of style, and I really like that.
I appreciate how they're able to incorporate the theme into multiple scenes and give it a completely new feeling. Like, during the chase scene, you can hear the theme play, but it's more dramatic, and then you hear it in a more somber tone during the scene where he's looking through the book. It's very creative.
Yeah, like, it almost felt like...
For scoring Pocahontas, so there's that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, like, it especially reminded me of Alan Menken, because that's what he would do for a lot of his films. He would incorporate the songs that he wrote, or the stories he would write for the films, into the score, whether it be, like, dramatic stuff. So that's a plus. So, you can imagine I really love Up, and, like, I also found out that Don Bluth, the legendary Don Bluth, absolutely loves Up, too. So that's a plus. And so, But for Wall-E, I think it's a good movie. Like I said, like I feel what would have been better if it was just focused like on the robot and such. It kind of does lose me a bit when they go up and they see all the people. Like it just kind of becomes a different movie. I would have liked it more if it just focused more on Wall-E and Eve. But other than that, like I still have to go for Up. Up is not only one of my favorite Pixar films; it's one of my favorite films of all time. So my vote goes to Up.
Oh, neat. Well, I'm the host, so I get to go last. I'm still sticking with Wall-E. It's a transcendent experience. It was what made me into movies. It's a beautiful film from start to finish. They talk about it wearing off after the first 30 minutes, but to be honest, I feel like if it kept that gimmick, it would have outstayed its welcome pretty quick. It's all about the progress of humanity, but how it can be both good and for bad, and about bringing it all back home to have it end happily. It's pretty deep, pretty heady, but it does so in a pretty good, unpretentious way that holds you in. And it was able to hold my interest pretty well. Up is good. I do like Up. It's got a similar message, and it's very somber also. But Wall-E just kind of captivated me more. I'm going with Wall-E. Next round, I think we can go on. The big upset, number 13, Monsters, Inc. beat Toy Story 3. But it's also up against number 5, Inside Out. So last week had the battle of Brad Bird. This is the battle of Pete Docter.
This is probably going to be the hardest one for me.
Right. We'll go from the bottom this time, Jack.
Okay, the films from Pete Docter. I mentioned like, even though we previously talked about Up, Up is my favorite Pixar film. Monsters Inc. is probably my second favorite because I really love the idea of the film. I love how like in previous other films with monsters, like the weird thing was that the monsters go into the human world and the kids whatever trying to hide them, but in this one the humans are going into the world of monsters, and that scene is the weird thing, and I thought that was like a really clever idea. It's something I really appreciated more as I got older, and the ideas of the monsters needing the screams to power up their homes and such is such a clever idea. And it also has probably one of Pixar's greatest duos, Mike and Sully, voiced by John Goodman and Billy Crystal, to perfection. I like that.
They're both funny people. I really like that about them.
They have loads of chemistry.
Yeah, and it also like adds a lot of like why Pixar's so great at making duos. They did take these two different actors, put them together, and their chemistry is just inseparable. Like the same thing with like Tom Hanks and Tim Allen in Toy Story, like John Goodman and Billy Crystal in this film, Albert Brooks and Ellen DeGeneres in Finding Nemo, and even when Soul, like with Jamie Foxx and Tina Fey, they would take these two different actors and just put them together, and it just fits perfectly. Like that's really hard to do. So I also like a lot of the other characters, like Cecilia, Warren News, and Randall. All their voices fit perfectly with their characters. And I also like the idea of a twist film being Warren News. Like the same thing that works with Stinky Pete. Like they seem like good guys, but their motivation never changes, even when it's revealed they're the villain. They still want things to be the way they want them to be. Like Warren News, he still wants his company to run good, but he's willing to do anything to get it. That's a really good idea that they did with them. So, I really love Monsters Inc. I especially love what they're doing. Inside Out, I really like Inside Out. Like, it's definitely like a 9 out of 10 film for me. I love the ideas it has. I love the conflict, how it's resolved. Like, I love the characters, but at times Joy could be a little bit annoying for me to sit through. Like, she comes off as a bit more annoying than the movie intended to be. Like, I get that she's supposed to learn a lesson, but she comes off as a little too much. I was like, there are times where like, okay, you could have cut that scene out. It would have been nothing would have lost you cut that scene out. Like the way she talks to Sadness to be a little inconsiderate and kind of condescending. Well, I get that's kind of the point, but it goes a little bit too much. But other than that, like I still love Inside Out. Like it gets me emotional at the sad moments and it makes you laugh at the really funny moments. Like I'll save you the Triple Dent Dumb song because you're all my buddies. But other than that, like I love Inside Out, but I love Monsters Inc. just a lot more. So Monsters Inc. gets my vote.
I played the Triple Dent Gum card in the first round. That's like our quota.
Yeah.
All right.
Anyway.
I'll go with let's see. I think I'll go with Monsters Inc. on this one. Mostly because when I was a kid, I actually was able to dress up as Mike Halloween parade. I was mad because my older brother got to do a parade, but I didn't, and I was kind of frustrated. But out of nowhere, my mom was able to find a Monsters Inc. thing, and for some reason they were missing a Mike, and I just happened to be dressed up as Mike, so I was able to go on it. So I thought that was a fun story for me. But movie-wise, I think that Monsters Inc. just has a funnier story. It has more memorable, loving characters. Inside Out does as well, but I have to say I'm not a fan of Amy Poehler when it comes to animation. And her playing Joy is a bit annoying. Yes, Joy, wait 12 years to learn the lesson that you should have learned throughout the movie. I mean, I love both of them. It's just I had to go with Monsters Inc. on this one. And I don't have much for this one.
Okay. Monsters Inc. versus Inside Out. This is definitely the hardest one for me because there's so much to love about both of them. And I mentioned how since I rewatched Monsters Inc., there was something there was a scene that hit me closer to home now that I'm older. And it's not the scene where Sully says goodbye to Boo. It's a scene where Sully scares Boo. Because when Sully sees Boo crying, and he's trying to calm her down, but then he looks up at the screen and sees his face, just the look in his eyes. He's come to the realization that this is what he has been doing for years. He has been making a career out of traumatizing little kids, and it has crushed him. Now that he's finally figured out that there's more to kids than just another paycheck, there's actually more depth to them than he realized, and it's finally hit him that, my gosh, I've been making a living off of traumatizing kids, and man, it hits so close to home to me. My God, there's such a well done scene. Pixar's really good at recontextualizing stuff, I feel, and that's probably because up to this point, it's just been they've been scaring kids, and it's just been it's they're classic 9 to 5, you don't think much of it, but then you realize that, oh wait, they've been scaring kids and just treated it like it was nothing. That's actually kind of awful. And
I can't watch this scene because that scene was just genuinely heartbreaking.
Yeah.
But
Here's one thing though, I do like how they put that thing back where it came from, or so help me, and they actually made that a big joke that came all the
I am so angry that Disney Plus cut out the bloopers on the version on their website.
No!
How dare they?
They just play the end credits. Although, I guess to be fair, we get to hear John Goodman and Billy Crystal sing, but still, come on, how can you do that? That's messed up, man. I will defend Inside Out right now. Yes, I understand that Joy is a little annoying, and she's kind of inconsiderate towards Sadness, but you also have to understand that she's not doing it out of self-gain. Every action she does, she is specifically doing it to benefit Riley. She thinks that what she's doing is correct, and she doesn't stop until she realizes, after looking at that emotional bubble, that the best way to help Riley is to let Sadness do her thing. And yeah, I understand, if the journey to that is a little frustrating, but that's just the way I see it, at least. But choosing between these two, when I ranked my Pixar films, these two films are literally right next to each other, to the point where it's almost a tie. But man, you know what? Get back to me on this. I'll force myself to pick one by the end of this round.
See, you know what's something interesting about Inside Out that I actually did research on?
What's that?
I found out that someone who's critical of it was, again, Don Bluth of all people. He actually brought up something that I never actually considered.
What's that?
He actually said that he didn't like how the little girl just had little gremlins controlling her what to do. I'm just that's actually a pretty interesting way of looking at it, even though I don't agree. I'm like, that's the way he looked at it, though. But I'm just like, that was just an interesting point of view.
Little gremlin controlling what you do.
Yeah.
I mean, they're not controlling her. They don't even exist. They're just a clever visual metaphor used to personify the abstract concept of emotions.
One more flip like that, and you're out of here.
No, please. I have 3 kids.
All right.
I do understand though the confusion, like with Riley. I remember when the first trailer came out, so many people were theorizing, "Oh my gosh, Inside Out's gonna have like its first bisexual character or something," since like her emotions were guys and girls, and all the other people just like had one gender. But then Pete Docter came out publicly and said, "I hope people don't look too much into that. There's really no meaning behind it."
I think it's more a case of not thinking things through.
We just wanted to cast those actors because we thought they'd be the best.
He was right.
Yeah.
Like,
all
you
right.
know what? Fair enough, Pete Docter. I'll give that one to you.
Yeah. All right. We'll try to cue things in. Kat, say your pick.
My pick was Inside Out. I just think it's a cute movie.
Right. Sometimes that's all you need. Just a feels movie. And that's it.
That's it.
Okay.
All right.
Fair enough.
All right, Nick.
All right, so Carrick, you were saying that this was probably going to be your hardest decision. Complete opposite for me. This one is Inside Out, no question about it. I've made it no secret that this is my favorite Pixar movie, as well as my favorite animated movie of all time, regardless of studio. Like, what can I say? It's Pixar, the master of feels, doing a feels movie. It delivers exactly what you're expecting, and when your expectations are sky high like they were for me, that's only a good thing.
Yeah.
And
It was pretty funny with the do feels have souls idea we had.
do
And then they made a
emotions
movie
have
about
emotions? Turns out they do. But yeah, much like Up, this was a movie that got me to shed tears at multiple moments. Although, to be fair, 2 of them were back-to-back. It was the moment where Joy broke down in the memory dump, and the moment right after she gets out of the memory dump. Rest in peace, Bing Bong. Riley may have forgotten you, but I never will.
Oof, that was brutal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And just the very idea of this movie teaching kids and older children, even some adults, that, you know, your emotions, all of them, are healthy, and it doesn't do you any good to shaft them off to the side in some attempt to maintain a facade of happiness. Because if you try to force yourself to be happy all of the time, that's going to do some serious damage to your mental health, to the point where you might not even be able to feel anything at all. This movie is basically taking the song "Don't Worry, Be Happy" and telling it to go shove it.
Oh,
Yeah.
jeez.
You made it no secret that that's your least favorite one of your least favorite songs.
I did that when
It's down there.
Died.
Yeah. And it's
no better record that year.
sorry.
Was there really no better record that year?
In 1988,
I think
that was the year of Never Gonna Give You Up. Of course, there was a better record that year.
Okay, you know
Happy birthday, Rick Astley.
I think Sweet Child of Mine too.
I think maybe the reason that one won is because the idea of an a cappella song was such a novelty at the time that maybe that's what put it over the edge.
Right.
I hope so, because I know that during the 2020 pandemic, a lot of people have been turning on this song because it reminds them of that god-awful Imagine cover.
Dear me. Well,
anyway, at least Jack gave us a good version of it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, my turn. I went with Inside Out. Monsters Inc.'s all right. It's kind of funny. It's kind of something I can get in and laugh at. It's kind of what I consider mid-tier Pixar, where it doesn't really grab me as much. And I honestly do think the Academy called it right with Shrek that year. But
I agree.
Yeah, I do too.
Yeah.
Hooray, our
I
Shrek
really
quota.
Yep. But I really liked the comedy, and that Randall is one of the better Disney villains. He used to creep me out as a kid. Like, seriously. But his final fate was so cathartic. But I still
Mama,
went with
no,
Inside Out.
Data's not in here.
Yeah.
Oh, Data, give me that show. Come here.
I still went with Inside Out because the feels. I love the feels. I love the characters of sadness and joy and just their dichotomy. I think it was great to pair those two polar opposites for the journey inside. And yeah, Pixar makes a big deal about its authenticity. They have about as many celebrity voices as DreamWorks, but what makes the difference is they have the part, they cast the actor based on the character, and they make sure they fit the part, which is how I think the celebrity casting should be. Don't make it a stunt. Have them audition. And they chose funny people. They made it work, and they had it rift. They always talk about how Riley is kind of uninteresting. Dude, it's all in her head. The whole movie is her setting. This is her subconscious. That's her whole story is the most interesting. It's beautiful to watch in a way and to see all of it play out. And if this is all her imagination at play, I love her imagination. So I'm going with Inside Out. Really creative and really fun. Boom.
I mean, it's not like the emoji.
That it didn't get. I'm still salty it didn't get a Best Picture nom.
Yeah, same.
It's not like with the Emoji Movie where the kid is a blank slate, but we really don't know anything about him because the entire movie takes place in his phone. Like if the film wanted us to learn about him, they should have had interesting things happening in his phone based on his personality, but they didn't really do that.
Riley likes hockey.
Yeah. We had those different islands. The personality islands.
The romantic vampire island. I love that one.
I love the idea how Honesty Island came about after she admitted breaking a plate with a freaking hammer.
Wow.
She's like 4 years old and she has a hammer. What is she doing with that?
Yeah.
Okay. You know what? I'm gonna force myself to make a decision here. I think I'm Inside Out and Monsters University. They all have great characters, great animation.
Monsters U.
For the time that they came out in, and they also have really good messages. I'm gonna go with Monsters Inc. for one reason: the music. I love the music in this movie so damn much.
I love the intro where it's played on the clarinet. It's like Rhapsody in Blue.
And it hits all of the notes that I love so much about scores, and that is what will put it over the edge for me.
Yeah. One thing I do want to bring up about Monsters, Inc. is that it has my favorite John Ratzenberger role as the Yeti.
Yeah.
The abominable snowman. Why not make it the adorable snowman or the agreeable snowman?
Yeah, I will say though,
nice guy. Snow cone.
I will say though. Don't worry, it's lemon. No, yeah. One thing that I kind of picked up though on that scene is it's very convenient that all of the doors in that little town just happened to be activated right when Sully got there, and the abominable snowman never thought of trying that out himself.
I think he kind of liked it there.
Yeah.
I will say two things about Monsters Inc. One is me and my family quote this movie all the freaking time. We love it that much.
I actually had Mom explain a joke to me once. The mom's like, yeah, we got kids there. Tough kids, sissy kids, kids that climb on rocks. That was a jingle back in the day for some kind of hot dog.
And another thing. You go first.
I just I'm very good that so I just feel like Sully got very lucky there, and Mike too. They were both, because doors aren't activated 24/7.
Maybe the Yeti was banished because he was too nice.
Maybe. Well, no, he got banished because he was looking through other people's mail.
Oh
yeah.
Oh yeah.
We haven't for anything yet. You ready for them? Yes. Okay.
And if there was another thing I was on about Monsters Inc. In My Little Pony, do you guys remember Scorpion? And T-Rex brother?
Yes.
Yes, I do. He was one of the biggest wasted opportunities in that show.
We never actually get to see him on screen once.
The reason I bring this up is because I feel like if Scorpion had a voice and a personality, I'd want him to be voiced by John Ratzenberger.
That would be really funny.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and I almost cried during the scene where Sully was saying goodbye to Boo, and they started like destroying her door. By the way, when I was a kid, I thought when they destroyed the door, like they were actually killing Boo. Like I thought that's what that meant. So I got really traumatized. Like, oh my god, they're killing her.
How ironic that a movie that basically goes against traumatizing kids ended up traumatizing kids.
Yeah, like because I completely misread it. But no, I almost cried at this scene again because now I actually know how the world works. But then it cuts to like Mike and Sully looking at the camera and just like, damn it! Now I'm just thinking of the meme where they switch their faces.
Oh man.
It completely took me out of the moment. I just like couldn't stop laughing. But that's not the film's fault. That's the internet's fault.
Right. Yeah, I will say though, of the original 3 animated feature nominees, Monsters Inc., Shrek, and Jimmy Neutron, all 3 of them gave us great memes.
I cannot believe the Jimmy Neutron movie got nominated.
It was the first year Nickelodeon was new, so they had to push the campaign.
Also, like, since we're talking about Jimmy Neutron, I should say that when me and my sister were really little, we would quote this movie whenever we went to bed. We always kept quoting the scene where Nick tells the campfire story to them. For some reason, we always loved that scene so much.
I think that's a Blair Witch reference.
Yeah. So then they leave the tent. Don't leave the tent! Don't leave the tent!
Classic. Well, I saw those in theaters, but yeah, that's pretty good. We have the next matchup.
Mike is the ultimate bro for.
Yeah, we have the Juggernaut, the most voted film in this tournament, Toy Story 1 versus The Incredibles. Another solid matchup of 2 real game changers.
What is it?
It's Toy Story 1 versus The Incredibles. Shall we do like this time? We'll start from the center and work our way out.
Yeah, Carrick.
Okay, Toy Story 1 and The Incredibles. Yeah, these were both very much game changers, and I talked about how I really love the like setup for The Incredibles. Like, it's a family drama disguised as a superhero movie, which is very clever. And it's also a midlife crisis drama, too, which is always fun. And Toy Story 1 is the first film to really popularize the whole, like, what do inanimate objects do when we're away. And they, both of these films have very memorable ensemble casts and animation that was groundbreaking at the time they came out. And to choose between these films, I'm gonna go with The Incredibles because it's, like I said, it's one of those films from my childhood that is just, it hit too close to home for me to not love it. And I talked about how every single family member like represents my own family 1-to-1 at the time that it came out.
Yeah,
I was Matt, my sister was Violet, like my brother was a baby at the time. It was just it was perfect. Like you couldn't get better than that.
I hope you guys went out for Halloween dressed as those characters.
Oh, we should have. We totally should have.
Yeah. Shame.
I don't know how my parents though would have felt. I don't know if they would have felt comfortable in tights though, or like spandex.
Yeah.
Oh well.
Yeah, they could have just worn regular black pants, I guess.
There was one year where all 3 of us went as Peter Pan characters. My sister was Tinkerbell, my brother was Peter Pan, and I was Captain Hook.
Oh, neat. You're always the pirate, aren't you?
I've been a pirate ever since I was a little kid. What can I say?
Yeah, you were Captain Hook, you were Long John. Were you anyone else?
That was my magnum opus in my theater career.
Yeah.
Oh, was I anyone else?
Yeah.
Oh, I went as the Grim Reaper one time. Like my mom did my own face paint.
Cool. I wore Reaper cloth once, but I was Reaper from Overwatch, not that Reaper.
Yeah. My theater magnum opus was as Jafar.
Oh, yeah.
If I can,
true story.
If I could add on to that, my theater magnum opus was Iago from Aladdin.
Like,
damn, did we go to the same middle school?
Did How did you play Iago? Was it like a puppet, or did you actually dress up as a bird?
I dressed up as a bird. My mom made it herself.
Aww.
That's nice. Well, there was this one performance we did at the Folger of this comic, Kill Shakespeare. I read the script for a variety of roles, but one of the main ones was Juliet. I just did a really high-pitched, this piggy-like voice.
Wait, I guess they wanted to go for an authentic feel of making sure everyone, even the women, were played by guys.
Well, they had a 6-year-old girl read for Othello. They just did gender blind.
Oh.
Now
But
I
it was
want
fun.
Now I want the Muppets to do Romeo and Juliet with Miss Piggy as Juliet.
Oh,
Yeah.
that would be classic.
Yeah, like
I feel like they'd have to rewrite the ending a little bit.
whenever I think of like the Simpsons, of like the Muppets, doing something fun, I think of what the Simpsons did. Dad, what's a Muppet? Well, it's very simple. It's like a mop. It's like a puppet, but man.
Yeah, but don't call
For the age question, I
Arlo.
don't know.
Yeah, but don't call Arlo that. Muppet is a registered trademark of the Jim Henson Company. He's just a regular puppet.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So start.
Definitely more of a fan of Toy Story 1. I already did a video talking about it just recently, so just watch that to go more in depth. Incredibles, I'm not a big fan of. Anything with Mr. Incredible and Syndrome are fun, but when it comes to the family dynamics, I found it very boring and cliche. Like, the cliche and boring stuff is the biggest problem with Incredibles 1, why it doesn't hold up as much, which is why I always found Incredibles 2 better, because it goes more in depth with the family. Also, that movie has that math is math joke. In fact, the only thing of Incredibles 2 I don't like was the villain, which is what number 1 does better. But Toy Story 1 is also better than Incredibles 1 just because of the fact it's just more of a fun dynamic between everyone.
Right.
That's all I got.
Yeah, that's fine. We'll skip the host and go now to the host's girlfriend. Kat, you're up. Okay, just like one sentence. Why?
One sentence why. Shoot. Man.
Just say the first thing that. All right. Here's what we're
I
gonna
don't
do.
know.
I'm gonna say the name of the film, and you just say the first thing that pops in your head.
Toy
Okay.
Story.
I mean, all I can think of is that song, like, You've Got a Friend in Me. I can't even remember, like, the plot. Like, it's been a long time.
That's fine. That's all we need here. You're doing great, Kat.
All
Thank
right.
Thank you.
The Incredibles.
Although I will say you remind me a little bit of Violet from The Incredibles, Kat.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, thank
Very-
you.
Very bashful.
Yeah. Shrinking Violet, they say.
You see, see, that's the other thing. Even though we talked about how in The Incredibles 2, like, the time, we would have appreciated a time skip, I do understand why they didn't, because there is a reason that they went with all the powers they did specifically, because they're all tied to their personalities. It's not just random. And because, Dash is a little kid, and he's, like, super hyperactive, and Violet's a really shy teenage girl, and, moms have to be really flexible and handle a bunch of things all at once, so it makes sense.
Actually, one newsletter said she was stretching to reach under one of our beds, and she compared herself to Elastigirl.
That's good.
Yeah. All right. 2 on the ends. Nick?
All right, Toy Story versus Incredibles. I think I'll say The Incredibles has what I believe to be the better individual scene out of all the movies, and that would be the scene with Mr. Huff, where he's comparing the company to a clock. Mr. Incredible gets mad and throws him through like 5 walls.
And he's like, uh-oh.
But I definitely have to give my pick to Toy Story. It's a similar reason for why I went with the original Winnie the Pooh for so long during the original Mouse Madness. It's the nostalgia factor. Like, everything else separated from it. Toy Story is a movie that basically was my childhood. I could quote this movie line by line by the time I was 10. I could still do it with 95% accuracy. And the difference is between Winnie the Pooh and Toy Story is that even taking the nostalgia factor out, it still holds up incredibly strong for anyone who hasn't seen it because the writing is just that solid.
Yeah.
I never understood. The only thing I never understood about this movie, though, is how Buzz managed to fly at the end. I just chalk it up to air resistance.
Flying with style.
Same thing. I just chalk it up to air resistance. Also, how did the big one manage to blaze for so long before finally exploding? I mean, that was like a 30-second fuse.
I guess safety reasons?
Plot convenience.
A
wizard
thinking,
did it.
Anyone can watch this movie and still appreciate the writing. Just don't tell them that it was made this year, okay? Just make sure they know when it was made.
Yeah.
Right, 95. Again, it proves sort of that writing comes first.
Right, that's always been Pixar's mantra, story is king. You write the story first, and then you match the animation to it. Or you write a story that'll allow for that style of animation to work. They have to work in tandem.
You work with the boards. Yoda Jax?
Okay, as you know, I think the first, I really like the first Incredibles. I have some issues with the family and such, but I do enjoy a lot of what the film does. I do enjoy a lot of the action. I do enjoy how the characters are. It may be a little bit generic in some parts, but other than that, I still think it's really good. I love Syndrome. I love how it's animated. I love the music and everything. But Toy Story, man, what can I say about the first Toy Story? It's up there as one of my all-time favorite films. It was such a game changer. I love the characters. This is one of those films that had a whole bunch of celebrities voicing their characters, and they match the personalities to a T. The dynamic between Woody and Buzz is absolutely great. I love even when they're fighting, they still have a lot of really, really good laughs. Like the iconic, Buzz, look, an alien! That scene is just great.
That laugh is iconic.
Yeah. Bah!
I've seen so many YouTube poops where I hear the very first bah, and it's I know exactly where it's from.
One line that comes out of comics all the time is, "Hey, look, I'm Picasso."
Yeah, I don't get it.
Yeah,
you uncultured swine.
What are you looking at, hockey puck?
If you don't know Don Rickles' comedy, that one will r/whoosh.
Yeah, I think I actually had to explain that one to you, Garrick.
You did have to explain it to me.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I'm as I said, Monsters Inc. is a film we like to quote out of context. We quote a lot of Pixar films out of context. Toy Story is definitely another one of them because the lines and the characters are just so perfect the way they say their lines. Especially love the crisis that Buzz goes through when he finds out that he's a real toy, not a space ranger. I love how Woody makes him feel better, knowing that there's nothing wrong with being a toy because you are a kid's toy, and that is a wonderful feeling. Right. And I love how with every single Toy Story film, even though they have a lot of great lines and great characters, they have a lot of silent moments too. They let the characters really think about stuff. And seeing how this is the first film from Pixar, it really changes stuff. So, yeah, I love Toy Story. It's definitely one of my favorite films. It's tied with the first Toy Story. With the second Toy Story is my favorite Pixar film. I would lean towards the second one a little bit more, but I still think Toy Story 1 is just fantastic. I still think it's just such a great film.
Yeah, I slightly lean more towards the second one myself because it's funnier and has sort of history. But with that said, my life forces are drawn from Toy Story. I am the same as this film, so seeing the story of Pixar is like the story of my life, and having Toy Story be the good first impression was pretty awesome because it's a novel concept, it's really well done, it's really well written, and again, with the CGI being a little dated, it still holds up because of its writing. The humor is still great, and they don't have any dated references, and a lot of jokes that take years to understand, which is what makes it funny. You are a toy! That's when I quote out of context all the time. Oh, and also Tom Hanks' birthday, that's another connection. Oh. Joss Whedon apparently wrote the earliest draft of the screenplay, but that was the Black Friday reel. Nobody likes that one.
Yo.
Really? Because I actually heard that Joss Whedon saved the film in another thing I saw.
Yeah, I thought he just wrote an early draft.
I wonder how dead Tom Hanks felt inside when he was recording that scene. Like, I wonder how much of his soul escaped his body as he was saying those lines.
Yeah. You know, it's a funny thing. I actually heard that Toy Story in early plans was going to be called "You Are a Toy."
You are like, hello, child. You are a toy.
Title or something. Chinese titles are always on the nose.
Yeah.
Is explicitly he's a ghost. Spoiler.
I will say, the Mad cartoon, that is one of my favorite jokes from it, where it's like Japanese translations of American films. It's like Despicable Me, Uncle Fester gets a job.
Oh my God.
Unstoppable is I can't stop this train. Oh no, wait, I stopped it. Like that show was very hit or miss, but I liked that joke.
Yeah.
One last thing about Toy Story before we move on. The fact that it has such clever writing with jokes that hold up, there's a reason it is such a widely used source for YouTube poops.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if you've ever seen Hoffy 1138's Strange Things Are Happening, but the very first joke in that video is probably one of my favorites in any YouTube poop.
You saved the day again, Woody.
Oh, shut up.
That's right. I did see it.
And he distorts the voice to make it sound like it's coming from the voice box.
Right.
Okay, I found it. Yeah, I'll check that out later.
It's in the first 15 seconds, so you won't have to look very.
That's great. I think was it? So Pixar announced recently that they're making a Buzz Lightyear movie. How do you guys feel about the recasting of Buzz?
Patrick Warburton. No, I'll take it.
I will say this: they could get someone new for Buzz, but they need to bring back Wayne Knight as Zurg. Wayne Knight as Zurg was such a freaking blast.
But like, how do you guys feel about it being Chris Evans? Do you think he'll do a good job?
He has big shoes to fill. I'll say that.
He played the same role in Captain America, so yeah.
I was confusing him with Chris Pratt.
Fair enough.
Major Chris is in the MCU. Don't blame you.
Chris Pratt might be one of the coolest guys ever.
Yeah, you have Chris Pratt, Chris Hemsworth, Chris Evans.
There's so many cool Chris's in entertainment.
If they can get Christopher Walken into the MCU, I might get back into those movies.
How about Chris O'Neill from Only Plays?
I don't know who that is.
Oh, he's a YouTuber.
Okay.
All right. We're on to the next one. It's time to go for the last matchup: Finding Nemo versus Ratatouille.
Oh boy!
And we're gonna vary things up. The host will start this time. Yeah. This was the hardest call for me. It's like two sides of the coin. It's like Ratatouille, the movie that helped me with art, the one that helped me get my mom back into PIXAR, the one that I was using to promote my own work back in the day. I saw the musical. I have the comics. I watched the short. It's just a cute, fun movie all about the creative process, which I love. But while Ratatouille is bigger for my adult life, Finding Nemo was for my young life. It was the Pixar movie. It's visually still holds up. It taught me a lot about filmmaking and about the comedy, and I knew all about fish, so I could point everything out, and I just had an obsession with the ocean back in that day, so I really got into it. Finding Nemo is the film that helped to define a lot of my early years, and for forming it and for giving me that love and boost to Ratatouille, I'm giving it to Finding Nemo. But two quick trivia facts. What type of fish is Gil?
Gil the one voiced by
Willem Dafoe.
Well, yeah. Why did I forget his name?
I don't know.
Moorish idol.
Yeah, it's a type of ornate bony fish found in Morocco or near Morocco, hence the Moorish. And also the second, this is the best-selling DVD of all time. There's an old running joke in the film industry that pornography decides the format. It's actually Disney.
Oh, the format, like the aspect ratio.
No. The format for this thing. Lion King was the best-selling VHS. Finding Nemo was the best-selling DVD. Frozen was the best-selling Blu-ray.
Oh.
Wow, it sold almost
that?
40 million DVDs.
Yep, it was the best-selling DVD. I had a copy.
I think I had a copy too.
Which movie?
Finding Nemo. I think I have the 2 special too. The second disc had a lot of games.
I know that Pixar loves to be very faithful to real life, but it's an animated movie. I wouldn't mind if they, just kind of went crazy with it. Just like started making up their own fish. Like this one is a blue flapinky, and that other one is a blue spatinpy.
Oh yeah, funny.
I don't know, and just like give them like ridiculously caricature designs that could never exist in real life.
All right.
Like
like
what they did in Fish Hooks.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Or Shark Tale.
Oh, God.
Someone else remembers that show. That's cool.
Which show was that?
Fish Hooks.
Oh,
Rick and Morty. Rick and Morty was in that show.
Oh, yeah. So was David Tennant as a talking brain.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
How about that?
Makes sense in context. But I think I'm gonna go down then up. Yoda Jax.
Oh wait, so was Finding Nemo your pick?
Yeah.
Okay.
Tough call though.
Yoda Jax, you can go.
Okay, as I mentioned before, like, if I had to choose another favorite Pixar film outside the first 2 Toy Stories, it would have to be Finding Nemo. That film, to me, is, like, one of my definitions of just a perfect film. I love everything about it. I love how it looks. The ocean is just gorgeous. It's just so big and colorful and wide with so many atmospheric elements to it. I love the dynamic between Marlin and Dory. Like, I love the chemistry that they have. And I like how they're not a couple. They're just friends who are looking for Marlin's son. I always thought that was nice. I also like Nemo's little adventure, too, as he's with the Tank Gang. Like, he has, like, all these different characters that he can work off with and, like, bond with when, like, he's waiting for his dad. I like how Nemo grows as a character, especially finds out his dad has been scouring the entire ocean trying to find him. I thought that was really nice. And
I like how the whole Tank Gang is all voiced by character actors too.
That's true. Like Gurgle, who was voiced by Max from the Muppet movie. I heard that was like the big reason they cast him in that film. And let me see. I also like the sharks. The sharks are pretty funny.
And they all
Yeah.
was
You guys hear something?
not sure what that was.
Right, Carrick? Right, Carrick?
Oh, is it my turn? Sorry, I didn't realize.
No, I wasn't done yet.
Okay,
Keep going. Please continue.
Let's see. I also... Where did my train of thought go? Oh, and let me just say, does anyone else remember the little video with Jean-Michel Cousteau? The little thing with Finding Nemo that they did?
Huh.
No.
There was a short on the Finding Nemo DVD where Jean-Michel Cousteau was going in the ocean, exploring the reef, and like against all these live-action shots of the ocean, he comes across Marlin, Nemo, and Dory, and they keep interacting, and they sometimes help, but for the most part, they just annoy the heck out of him.
That's really funny.
Yeah,
it's probably on YouTube.
Narrator, because he was a sea guy.
Yeah.
So
you'll most likely find it on, if you look on YouTube, you'll probably find it. It's really funny.
Jacques
Now,
Cousteau.
as I said, yep. And as I said before, I really love Ratatouille. I don't think that's perfect, even though I really love how it's filmed like in Paris. The shots in Paris are really good. I liked a lot of the characters. I will admit, I wish Remy had more to do. I wish he would have talked more. What was honestly holding the film back from having Remy talk to the humans? I wouldn't mind if he talked to the humans, personally. And like I said, they do throw in a second or third act breakup in there, which does kind of drag out for a bit, but thankfully it doesn't ruin the entire film for me. I especially love the ending message with the critic. That was great too. So all in all, I really love Ratatouille, but Finding Nemo is definitely top 10 favorite films for me, so that gets my vote.
Yeah, that's kind of weird how you could have a rat pilot a human like a mecha that can't talk to him.
Yeah.
I will say this. Finding Nemo, I love that movie, but Ratatouille is still my favorite Pixar film. And I actually really loved the decision to have Remy not talk to the humans, because we're very used to Pixar duos and how they interact off each other, but this is the first Pixar duo to have sort of a Wallace and Gromit dynamic, and the way that they communicate with each other can be very creative at times, and the whole puppeteering thing it's ridiculous, but I'm already invested in these characters and this world to the point where I could buy that. It's not completely outlandish, and I mean the fact that it's animated kind of helps that out too. And I mean they needed to come up with something, and I feel that was a very creative solution for them working together like that. And I know that with Remy not talking during the middle can be a little weird, but I'm fine with that also, because at this point we spent most of the film in the rat world, but now we've moved on to the human world, and Remy is spending all of his time with all these different human characters, and it's basically like we've essentially switched perspectives, because Remy and Linguini, I feel, are like deuteragonists. This is both of their story, and once and when
they're deuteragonists, that's great.
Yeah, thank you. And once Remy is reunited with Emile, we're introduced back to the rat world, and that's when he finally starts talking again. And I feel like if Remy had been talking during all the human segments, I feel it kind of would have taken me out of the experience, because at this point we're seeing things from the perspective of Linguini now, and then towards the climax, it's sort of we see it's constantly go back and forth between them until eventually it comes together, with all the rats working together to help save the night. And just the fact that seeing his dad being like, you know what, son, we'll do whatever you say, son, you name it. And then the health inspector came and he was like, grab that health inspector.
Yeah,
we're seeing them all.
Inspectors.
Well, because they had to do something, because it was a bunch of the health inspector would have shut them down, and he did, because they had to let him go eventually. And this is one of the few Pixar films where the villain technically wins, but our heroes still manage to find a way to come out on top in their own way, and I find that to be very interesting as well. And now that I'm a creator, now that I've started becoming sort of a critic in my own right, just the whole talk about creation versus criticism, that whole speech really, I try to carry that with me, that kind of attitude, because I don't create things as massive or artistically, trying. I'm trying to think what's the ambitious, yeah, things as ambitious as Pixar and stuff like that. But even though I can't, I still feel I can offer my own perspective on the world in my own unique way, and this film helps me realize that. I just this is a very much a movie for creators, and I I really like that attitude. Just like the scenes where Remy is trying out the different foods, and you see the different flavors going on behind him as colors, like stuff like that. It is very beautiful, and it's. And when I was a kid, I even kind of did that myself. Like I would experiment with my food. Like if I had my Lunchables, I would eat my Ritz cracker, and then like I'd have a slice of ham. And I was like, then I would combine them, and I started like doing the whole And
yeah, I feel like most of us tried that as kids.
and in a way, when Remy tries to do that exact same thing with a meal later on, and it doesn't work, it just kind of further drives home the point that Remy is built differently from all these other rats. And
all that stuff and all that fuss about a little rat.
Yeah, but by the end, like they accept him for it, and it's really sweet. And so yeah, Ratatouille is my pick. And Kat, would you like to go now?
I'm sorry, what is it between?
Ratatouille, Finding Nemo. I think you took Finding Nemo based on the straw poll.
Okay. Sorry.
One sentence about
I don't
Finding
really
Nemo.
remember why.
Oh, that's good. You can
They're
take a
both good
refresher.
movies. It's hard to pick.
Right. I'll probably catch them up with you later when we do our movies. You good?
Yeah, I'm good.
Well, thank you.
Right.
That's fine. Nick?
Okay, I'm going to be honest. It's been a while since I've seen Ratatouille. And the first time I watched it was kind of at a pretty difficult time, considering when it was and where I live. So it's kind of hard for me to separate it from that moment, and I'm probably going to have to give it another rewatch to give it kind of any kind of objective analysis. I will say this, though. I think Ratatouille had higher highs than Finding Nemo, particularly with the critic's speech at the end, the scene where Remy was, combining the food and, it gets all atmospheric, and my personal favorite line in the movie, "You're slow for someone in the fast lane, and you're thin for someone who likes food."
Oh,
I don't like food. I love it. If I don't love it, I don't swallow.
yeah. I quote this movie out of context too, like the "don't pork it down."
Okay. It also legitimately... I also remember the movie legitimately giving me a jump scare. It's when lightning strikes the top of the house and smokes the dish that Remy was making. Didn't see it coming at all. Made me jump out of my skin. That's always fun. But I think Ratatouille has higher highs than Finding Nemo. Despite that, I think I'd still go with Finding Nemo over Ratatouille because it's a movie I have a lot more history with. It's one that keeps me engaged all the way through. I've seen it a bunch of times as a kid. Love the casting, especially the Tank Gang. As I mentioned last week, the scene where Nemo realizes his dad's crossing the ocean to look for him always makes my heart swell. That said, though, I don't know if I can give a vote yet. I think I'm going to have to watch Ratatouille one more time before I can make any choice. So far, I think Finding Nemo would get the edge, but I want to be a bit more informed, so my vote is going to have to abstain for now.
Because I will fight for Ratatouille till the very end, just so you guys know.
I know you will.
I'm glad you will. It's a good movie worth defending.
Yeah.
Yeah. But before we wrap things up, I just want to say next week, we're taking a brief intermission in terms of testing. I just need a minute to cool my jets, and it's kind of Mouse Madness tradition to take a break before the Final Four.
Yeah.
However,
Okay.
We'll make it a tradition.
Yeah. However, if you're up for it, we can use that as a filler week to talk about the shorts. Important part of see that is often overlooked, and we couldn't compete with them. So we can just spend the whole day talking about shorts.
Cool.
I
That'd be
love
fun.
shorts.
Yeah.
I will try my best to watch as many of those shorts as I can.
And
Although I will say,
I just haven't the tie-in shorts like Toy Story and Cars. Those ones I gotta catch up on. But I've seen all the theatricals.
I will say though, I am really not looking forward to watching the Tin Toy short. Like I remember watching that one as a kid, and that baby just horrified me.
Do it.
Like I was so scared of that baby.
Yeah. But is this a good place to wrap it up?
I think so.
Yes. All right. Good to have you. Thanks again for my lovely cat for being on the show tonight.
It's
Thank you,
been
Kat, for coming.
such a pleasure.
Great to see you.
great having you.
All right. Thanks for having you, cat. And all right. Well, we'll be back again in a week for the shorts and 2 weeks for the tournament. Till then, take care, everyone. Bye.
See ya.
See ya.